Hello and welcome back to Bible Buddy Forever. My name is Veena, your Bible Buddy Forever. Today we are on day 5 of our Gospel series and we will be reading chapter 5 from the book of Mark. Thank you so much for tuning in today and let's get right into it.
Thinking of you.
The Gospel according to Saint Mark, chapter 5. Jesus heals a man with evil spirits. Jesus and his disciples arrived on the other side of Lake Galilee, in the territory of Gerasa. As soon as Jesus got out of the boat, he was met by a man who came out of the burial caves there. This man had an evil spirit in him and lived among the tombs. Nobody could keep him chained up any more. Many times his feet and hands had been chained, but every time he broke the chain and smashed the irons on his feet. He was too strong for anyone to control him. Day and night he wandered among the tombs and through the hills, screaming and cutting himself with stones. He was some distance away when he saw Jesus. So he ran, fell on his knees before him, and screamed in a loud voice, "Jesus, Son of the Most High God, what do you want with me? For God's sake, I beg you, don't punish me." He said this because Jesus was saying, "Evil spirit, come out of this man." So Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" The man answered, "My name is Mob. There are so many of us." And he kept begging Jesus not to send the evil spirit out of that region. There was a large herd of pigs nearby, feeding on a hillside. So the spirits begged Jesus, "Send us to the pigs, and let us go into them." He let them go, and the evil spirits went out of the man and entered the pigs. The whole herd, about 2,000 pigs in all, rushed down the side of the cliff into the lake and was drowned. The men who had been taking care of the pigs ran away and spread the news in the town and among the farms. People went out to see what had happened, and when they came to Jesus, they saw the man who used to have the mob of demons in him. He was sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, and they were all afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the man with the demons and about the pigs. So they asked Jesus to leave their territory. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had the demons begged him, "Let me go with you." But Jesus would not let him. Instead, he told him, "Go back home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how kind he has been to you." So the man left and went all through the 10 towns, telling what Jesus had done for him, and all who heard it were amazed. Jairus' daughter and the woman who touched Jesus' cloak. Jesus went back across the other side of the lake. There, at the lakeside, a large crowd gathered round him. Jairus, an official of the local synagogue, arrived, and when he saw Jesus, he threw himself down at his feet and begged him earnestly, "My little daughter is very ill. Please come and place your hands on her, so that she will get well and live." Then Jesus started off with him. So many people were going along with Jesus that they were crowding him with every side. There was a woman who had suffered terribly from severe bleeding for 12 years. Even though she had been treated by many doctors, she had spent all her money. But instead of getting better, she got worse all the time. She had heard about Jesus, so she came in the crowd behind him, saying to herself, "If I just touch his clothes, I will get well." She touched his cloak, and her bleeding stopped at once, and she had the feeling inside herself that she was healed of her trouble. At once, Jesus knew that power had gone out of him. So, he turned round in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples answered, "You see how the people are crowding you? Why do you ask who touched you?" But Jesus kept looking round to see who had done it. The woman realized what had happened to her. So she came trembling with fear, knelt at his feet, and told him the whole truth. Jesus said to her, "My daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your trouble." While Jesus was saying this, some messengers came from Jairus' house and told him, "Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher any longer?" Jesus paid no attention to what they said, but told him, "Don't be afraid, only believe." Then he did not let anyone else go on with him except Peter and James and his brother John. They arrived at Jairus' house, where Jesus saw the confusion and heard all the loud crying and wailing. He went in and said to them, "Why all this confusion? Why are you crying? The child is not dead, she's only sleeping." They laughed at him. So he put them all out, took the child's father and mother, and his 3 disciples, and went into the room where the child was lying. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I tell you, get up." She got up at once and started walking round. She was 12 years old. When this happened, they were completely amazed. But Jesus gave them strict orders not to tell anyone, and he said, "Give her something to eat." The Gospel of the Lord. Let's take a few minutes to process the Gospel that we just read. Let me know what you thought of reading chapter 5 from the book of Mark in the comments below. Well, let's dissect Mark 5. This chapter is filled with so many miracles, showing exactly the kind of power Jesus has as the Son of God. Of course, he is God himself. Of course, it's natural that God can perform miracles. Of course, it's natural that God can give new life. The emphasis of these stories show who truly Jesus is and what he's capable of doing for his people. This entire chapter not only tells us who Jesus is, but also shows us his power, his authority over evil spirit, as well as his ability to give life to the dead. With the first story, where Jesus is healing a man with a mob of evil spirits, that in that story the description says that the man was struggling for years, that he was not even capable of being chained because that's how badly the demons were affecting him. He was breaking up the chains and he was just being a madman. The only person that was able to release the man from these demons was Jesus. It shows the authority that Jesus has over these evil spirits. Not only that, but also his compassion. He really felt bad for this man, that he wanted to see him well, that he wanted to see that his life is transformed. The beautiful thing about this story is that at the end, he became an instrument of God. And this is the beauty of our God. We can see time in and time again that Jesus goes and chooses the people that are afflicted, the people that are sinners, the people that are prisoners, the people that are in bondages as his instruments. He always goes out and looks for these people and transforms their life permanently because of his compassion. And through their stories, there's so much inspiration and so much that these people with their stories are able to do for Jesus's kingdom. And this is the beauty of what God is able to do even from the bad that has occurred in your life. Your own life might have circumstances where things are really horrible, where things are just unrecoverable. You feel like God cannot have mercy, but that's not the God we have. We don't have a God that does not show compassion or love. Rather, we have a God that wants to work with you, wants to use your story, and wants you to be an instrument for his kingdom. And then we have the second story where Jesus is on the way to go and heal a little girl. While he's on his way, though he was pressed by a crowd and a multitude of people, there's this woman who had so much faith. She was too embarrassed, and she just thought that by just touching Jesus, she will be healed. Her faith was paramount, and that's something that we need to highlight here. The woman was suffering for 12 years, yet it was her faith that transformed and healed her life. And this is what Jesus is looking for. How much faith do you have? Ask yourself this question. Every time you encounter and go with prayers to God, how much faith do you have? When God puts you through a time of trouble, are you holding on to that faith that God wants you to have? Jesus is a compassionate man, and he wants to heal you. At the same time, the last story is about how he goes and gives new life to the little girl that was sick. Even though everyone around him was mocking and making fun of the fact that he cannot heal a dead baby, he proved them wrong. This again shows us who Jesus is, his power and his capability. Because he is God himself, because he gets the authority from God the Father, he's able to heal. He's even able to give new life. This is exactly what he can do for you. There are so many examples and testimonies of people that you can find even on YouTube, of them telling you how they had a near-death experience. You will also hear in that testimony how they were able to go and listen to Jesus himself, or encounter Jesus, encounter Mother Mary, and come back into this life, and their story is just touching so many souls, so many spirits. So it's not a new thing or a thing of the past. God is able to give you new life. It doesn't mean that he needs to give you a brand new life and it needs to be something of this much significance, like for this little girl. You can take your own life. Imagine that you're living in a very sinful way, and you're having a lifestyle that does not please God. That can be your old self. You can ask God to fill you with a new spirit, fill you with a new life, that you will have a new spirit that does not want to do anything that does not satisfy God, that does not break the 10 commandments. This is what God is able to give you. The more consistent you are, the more faith you have, and ask and pray to God for him to give you that new spirit. He's going to do it for you. And this is something that you can do in your own prayer and asking God to transform your spirit. Okay, I will leave you here. I hope you enjoyed reading chapter 5 with me. I hope that you will join me again tomorrow. Make sure to leave me a flower emoji if you made it to the end, and have a beautiful day and take care. Bye.